Fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight, never running from a real fight. She is the one named Sailor Moon. She will never turn her back on a friend. She is always there to defend. She is the one on whom we can depend. She is the one named Sailor. Sailor Venus, Sailor Mercury, Sailor Mars, Sailor Jupiter. Secret powers are so new to her. She is the one named Sailor Moon. Fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight. When the sailors got to help fight, she is the one named Sailor Moon. She is the one named Sailor Moon. She is the one, Sailor Moon.
Well, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in this wonderful world that we share. And as you may know, this normally happens over on Lethal's channel, but he was a naughty boy, according to YouTube, and Mama Susan needed him. So I would like to introduce the one, the only, the dashing Prince of Earth himself, Prince Lethal. How you doing?
I am fantastic. Thank you very much. We had a talk backstage about Lord of the Rings, but Sailor Moon's actually good, unlike the state of Lord of the Rings. So this is still good. And yeah, I'm glad we're keeping doing this. It sucks that I got yeeted, but my backup channel is going strong. How do I get a hold of it? Yellow Flash. Hit me up on Discord or Instagram or email. Do you have a Discord, Yellow Flash? That's probably the easiest way, mate. But yeah, I'm doing well. I'm glad we're still doing these. And Volume 5, I really liked Volume 5.
I do too. Yes, Rayron, the Negaverse ate him. Can we look at that? He does have a Discord. There you go. We're connecting. Friendships are being re-stabilized. I have no idea. Yay.
Yellow Flash. While Yellow Flash is here, I do want to give a big thank you to Yellow Flash. He's done, especially over like the past month, he's done quite a lot for me, and I really do appreciate that, man. So thank you. Thank you. Just need to get good at Halo now.
Well, there's that. Speaking of, I will be I'm trying to think. In about 22 minutes, I will have Destiny 2 finished downloading. But which Halo are you playing, Lethal? Is it
Infinite, mostly at the moment.
I gotta say, I've not heard great things.
Gameplay, great. Everything else, it's got a lot of work.
I got you, Yellow Flash. Yeah, I don't know. Halo, so I cut my teeth in Halo and chat rooms and whatnot and stuff like that, and Halo 2 has a very special place in my soul because I spent, oh my god, months of time on duty watching just nothing happen, and so we all just played Halo 2 for into eternity. And
Halo 3 is still my favorite. I mean, you can just get the Master Chief Collection and play them all. About a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I jumped on Master Chief Collection, booted up Halo 3 for nostalgia. When the game ended, the post-game lobby was just everybody abusing each other, implying that each other's mothers were extremely easy to sleep with. It was.
Yep.
Oh, man, I was home. I was home.
It was, yeah. I don't know. When I see gamer girls like Frosk, first of all, the term gamer girl is
stupid.
Yeah, like why do you have to announce that you're a girl? If you're good, you're good. If you suck, you suck. Either way, you're going to get shit talked to. I don't understand. Like it's just, and you and I have talked about this. If you're just honest about your level, you're like, "Hey, like I've been playing for about 2 weeks and this is my first, I don't know,
like me with Destiny 2. I'm like, I'm still
Yeah.
very much learning what's going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. You have no idea what to do with grenades. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like oh god, you threw a grenade. Like you threw a grenade in the wrong direction. I was like, Lethal, what are you doing? where was that going? What was that for? So yeah, it just makes me laugh because I think Mazza was probably playing worse than you, and he was shit talking more than anybody else.
Yeah, it's the way to go.
But I mean, that's how it is. But you and I will have to do a gaming stream because tonight, or in your case, this morning, is about the one and only Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon, Volume 5.
Yes.
Look at that artwork.
First of all, I know, it's so good. Now, we like to compare it to the anime quite a bit. Look at that one. Now this is basically the start of Sailor Moon S. I think Sailor Moon S. I go back and forth, but it's either my
Lethal
number one.
Lethal, you're getting you're crackly.
Oh, is that better?
There you go. Yeah, I don't know what you did.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, S might be my favorite of the seasons. It's definitely top 2. I bounce back between this and Stars, but I think this volume is better than Volume 4 and Volume 3. Like Dark Moon, I think even just this, way better than all of Dark Moon.
Yeah, like we said, and unfortunately, none of you can go and watch that because Lethal got yeeted. But when we talked last time, basically Rini sucks, and Neo Queen Serenity and King Darien are terrible parents.
Yes, absolutely. I even have my bones to pick with Rini in this one as well.
Yeah, this is Super S. Never mind. Super S is the one where she falls in love with the horse, right?
Yes. Super S is the worst
Super
one.
S, yeah. Y'all think I'm joking, but I'm not. Rini has some problems. Yeah, because her first love interest was like, and you know how they're always like, oh, every girl's first love is her father. No, she was like ready to bang her dad.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, it was his past self, so it's not really it's really him. It's actually him. And
it's pretty awkward.
Yeah, no, it was bad stuff. But I still maintain, like I said, you can't go back and watch it, but I will slightly go over what I said last time. I think Molly should have been Dark Lady.
Yeah, no, I love that theory. That was brilliant. No, that was actually way better.
But here we are
now. If I
now.
remember correctly, you said that Saturn's your favorite of the Outers?
Yeah, Saturn is my favorite of the Outers.
Yeah, she's introduced in this one. What do you think of her production?
At first, so like right there, where she's like sleeping, I thought it was Ray.
Yeah, well, considering the next page is her.
Yeah. So, I think, like I said in our previous streams when we talked about the inners and the outers, I liked her because I like how she sort of develops from the harbinger of death to the angel of death, Because there is a point where Sailor Saturn is like, she's ready to literally engulf the world in a black hole and not care. And shockingly, Rainy actually is like, hey, let's be friends, and I care about you, and let's not destroy the universe because you're in a bad mood.
See, I think I don't know if you agree on this, but I think the anime actually did their relationship better, and that comes down to the fact that, like you said, the anime picked a lane with Rini. They went with, she's a dumb little kid, she's a little girl, she's dumb, and like her being like a silly little girl, she kind of had that childlike innocence when she sincerely wants to help Saturn and be her friend and all that.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the manga, you're like, yeah, you're a silly little kid, but you're not. You're pretty old. You're like 500 years old or whatever it is as well.
Yeah, she's like,
I remember right.
Yeah, she's damn near 1,000 years old, and you're like, okay, so technically you're the oldest person sitting at that table, but you're gonna act like a kindergarten student.
Yeah, so, I just think the anime did it quite a bit better with their like build up, and especially how it all develops with Uranus and Neptune. It just kind of felt more sincere that she wanted to help Saturn. Or I guess that's the next big thing, really. Is this is kind of the one that like introduces the whole concept of outers. I guess technically the past story arc did because it had Pluto.
Yeah, but it was less
called an outer.
Yeah, she wasn't called an outer yet. She was just the guardian of time.
Yeah.
And so that's how you recognized her.
And then this gives us Chibi Moon. I don't like Chibi Moon. I feel like she just gets in the way a lot of time. And she has this moment towards the end of this volume, about 3/4 through, where she outright says, "Oh, this thing on my neck. Oh, this is the silver crystal." It's like, oh, that's like Bruce Wayne just admitting you're Batman. Like, oh, what are you doing? No wonder this will go south pretty quickly.
And the thing is, like, this is so something else that develops in this storyline is Serena and Darian get much closer. So you imagine that, so they've already been a couple. They've already defeated Beryl and blasted her back to the Negaverse. They've just overcome the Dark Moon. And so the thing is, like, at the end of, I'm trying to think. So at the end of Dark Moon, Rini comes back, and like, after like 5 minutes, like, I don't even think it was 5 minutes. They're like, oh, I do kind of miss her. And then she just like falls back out of the sky. And they get a letter from their future selves, and they're like, here, have fun. And I'm like, this seems like more poor parenting choices. Like, it truly does seem like really poor parenting. But the thing is,
I have a fan theory about that.
Okay.
I think they just wanted to get rid of her.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
To me, it came across as, oh god, we got to get rid of this kid for a little bit. You know, Mummy and Daddy need some alone time. We basically had a child for 900 years, and this child just nearly brought about the destruction of time itself.
The past, the present, and the future.
Yeah, let's just send her back in time to our past selves. So technically, we're still with her. You know, we're not completely bad parents. But no, you are right. It's kind of funny. It's like they keep palming her off.
They really do. And
disappears for a bit, and then she comes back, and they're like, you know, the world was about to end, but we still preferred it when you weren't here.
Yep. And they're like, well, and I'm sure in their minds, they're like, well, she's still technically with us, so we're still spending time with our daughter. It's just before we actually had her. And like the thing that kind of, So Serena and Darian are working on getting closer and like more mature because Serena is now like 15 or 16 years old at this point.
Yep.
And this is a point in time when they seriously start like Darian is already so high school is in Japan, high school is to them what like university is to us. And university would be like post grad for us. So their educational standards are far higher in Japan. And that's just facts. So they start out other milestones in life a lot sooner as well. So this is Serena is at a point in time where she has to like seriously consider like marriage and family and courting, and does she want to go like the professional route? And that's what a normal Japanese student would do. Obviously, she kind of has already had peeks at her future. I mean, she saw Crystal Tokyo, so she knows what's coming, but she doesn't know how it comes about. And Sailor Pluto was very specific about how she like they can't know those details because they will risk changing something. So it's who, by the way, Sailor Pluto was definitely the MVP of the Dark Moon series. Just saying.
Oh, by far.
By far. Like they would have been dead about 1,000 times over without her. But the thing is, so Serena is really trying to like appear more mature because she really, after everything this girl has been through, she really still just wants to eat and stare at boys, specifically Darian. But like, she really does just want to like eat and stare at boys. And that's not exactly wifey material. And she's well aware that Darian is a catch. So she's like, oh, I need to like spend more time with him, do this, do that. And make sure he wants to be with me because he wants to be with me, not because we are Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask or future Neo Queen Serenity and King Darian. Like,
because
she's
what the future dictates. Like, is this actually like, do we actually feel like this, or is this just what we've been forced because of obviously our past where we died?
Yeah, and now the future that we've seen.
That's the future.
Yeah. Rini doesn't give a toss about any of that. Rini purposefully is inserting herself in between Serena and Darian. Like,
which is weird because like you're thinking like, okay, this is my mom and dad from the future. I should be, getting them closer with each other, not trying to wedge myself in between them. It's like, hey, if all it takes is you two to have one argument, and I will never exist.
Yeah, actually, at one point, I forget which volume it is, but Rini actually does disappear, and I like it.
Oh,
she does. She goes poof, and it's because something changed, and all of a sudden now Serena. I think that's in Stars, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or that might be Super S. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure
but I like that part. Yep, we'll get there. But so now we're at Serena getting awestruck by handsome boys.
Yeah.
And pretty girls dropping mirrors.
Quote unquote boy. I guess we shouldn't really go any further without talking about Uranus and Neptune in this, because they're probably like the big newcomers in this volume.
Dang it, are you going to tell them that that's... Guys, look at that picture. Tell me that that's a girl. It's a girl, by the way.
Yeah. Well, from my understanding, she was transformed to look like a boy with like her powers. Because there's one part further down where you see both of them walking, and it's like they just got out of a pool or something. And like, those are clearly boobs, and they've got there before.
Nope.
You still can't figure out what's going on here. Come on. But I guess one of the things to point out instantly is the anime said that they were cousins when they're not. They're in a relationship. It's some girl and girl going on.
It would have been
and the anime, I think, just made it really, really weird because it came across as incest. Because it's like they're clearly banging, but you're telling me they're cousins. Okay, yeah, that's a bit
Obviously.
weird.
Mhm.
It's a bit weird.
And it's, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, they do.
she's a bitch. She's
It's,
dumb.
oh,
God, let me turn it back
suck
down.
you and still hearing this. Sorry.
That's right. It's a
Sorry,
StreamYard
guys.
thing.
Well, and like, I don't even know that it's, I don't know that it's that they censored it. It's because because in Stars, we're gonna give you guys some spoilers here, I guess. In Stars, they are guys that transform into girls. Like when they use their Sailor Star power, so they are the Sailor Starlights, and they're dudes when they aren't transformed, but when they use their powers, they transform into chicks. And that's really bizarre because for a couple of reasons, it was never suggested prior to the, I mean, like Uranus, you were like Uranus, you're like maybe he could be a guy that transforms into a girl, but it was like you couldn't really tell. But then they make it pretty apparent that no, that's a chick. So so in Sailor Star, that's a huge reason why Series 5, why Sailor Starlights never got dubbed to English. Because hello?
Did StreamYards just completely crash?
Yeah, StreamYards just crashed. They're saying over on. Okay, hang on, guys. Chat disconnected. Please wait while we connect you. Successfully connected. Can you hear us now?
Test. I think StreamYards just completely crashed.
Yes.
You went silent and then
Okay.
it reloaded my screen.
Yeah. Okay. You can hear us now, Sub? All right. That was so weird. Yeah. StreamYards just boom, boom, crash. All right. So what I was saying was a big part of the reason that Series 5, the Sailor Starlights, didn't get made is because they weren't sure how to handle boys turning into girls, basically. And that's exactly what it was. In this one, instead of just letting them be even just like super affectionate, like weirdly affectionate or overly affectionate friends, they made them cousins, and it did not come off well. You're just like,
no.
ooh.
These
'Cause I
cousins
was like,
are really, really, really close.
right? I was like, man, I've got cousins and I don't love them that much.
And it even shows them, it's like, oh yeah, we both stay in the same house. You're like, okay. And it's like, yeah, we go everywhere together. Okay.
Do you now? All right.
There's a bit more going on here, isn't there?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was really, really weird. But of course, the manga, back in the day, I think this came out in '93. This one, if I remember correctly, and it just heavily implies like, yeah, they're together. It pretty much outright says it. But one thing that I wanted to touch on really quickly was the fact that like Uranus is kind of like flirty with Usagi.
Yes.
What do you make of that?
I think that it proves that Uranus is a sociopath.
Yeah.
Because Uranus. All right. So, here's the thing. Uranus doesn't actually doesn't give a crap about anybody. Like genuinely does not care about other human beings. The only human being Uranus cares about is Neptune. And then by extension, Neptune sort of convinces her that they need to care about Saturn solely because Saturn is so freaking powerful.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, well, Pluto is an outer now too, so we'll just be the outers and they'll be the inners. And the thing is, like, she uses other people's emotions rather recklessly, because she flirts with Serena and then she flirts with Darian and sends them both into a tizzy. And she even, like, if I remember correctly, she winks at Jupiter and Venus when they think that she's a dude. And so she's very nonchalant and doesn't care if she hurts people. And she only gives, like I said, she really only cares about Neptune. But there's actually a point, I don't know if it's in this volume or not. There is a point where she would have been willing to take Neptune's heart crystal if she, I don't want to give that away yet because I don't think that's in this volume.
It's not.
Okay. Well, I'll just put it to you this way. She's totally willing to kill Neptune. Just FYI. So
Neptune's over here getting her flirt on with Darian as well.
I know it.
It's weird. It's like, are you two just home wreckers, or are you into like some swingers type stuff? No judgment here.
I'm pretty sure they would swing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, it's weird because Saturn is like their surrogate daughter.
Yeah.
They treat Saturn like a daughter, so I wonder if they would, like, I really do think they would swing with Pluto, though.
Well, it shows all three of them together at one stage. But yeah, and then, like, another thing is, like, they are loaded. They are, like, Bruce Wayne level rich.
Yes.
Like, at the back, there's, like, translations, you know, where some things just don't quite translate to English, and it's, like, breaking down how much money they actually have. And she talks about how much she spends on rent for her apartment. and then the back of it's like, yeah, that works out to about $100,000 USD a month. And they're like, what the
month?
Yeah. Yeah. Because she's got all the crazy sponsors because of the race car driving, and Neptune because of the music. They're just absolutely loaded with cash. They got more cash than they know what to do. They pick up Rini in a helicopter to interrogate her about Usagi and then drop her off home.
Yep. And
which is pretty based.
Is it Neptune that goes? I forget, one of them. It has to be Neptune because Uranus wouldn't be this subtle. Uranus is what Jupiter would be if Jupiter was just a straight bitch. Yeah. But Jupiter's not a bitch. So Uranus wishes she could be Jupiter. But I'm pretty sure it's Neptune that takes the Sailor Scouts, except for Serena, takes them out to go shopping, and they, like, don't want to spend a lot of money, and she's like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, buy whatever you want.
It's like they spend like 150 grand and she doesn't even blink. I want to say it was her, because it's definitely not Neptune that does that.
One thing that this reminded me of right here, we talked about it right at the end of the last volume, was how much of a power buff they've gotten.
Yes.
Obviously, we saw Sailor Moon blow up a planet before she meets with her future self and gets another power buff. And I think that really got shown here because I'll get your opinion on them, but the Death Busters, which is like the new villains, you know, the Witches 5 and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
They did go down surprisingly easy, the Witches. Especially when you compare to like when they were fighting, you know, like Barrel's henchmen and Dark Moon henchmen and all that type of stuff. I felt like the Witches 5 didn't put up as much of a fight, but I also think that's because of how much. I'm not talking about her super transformation, that happens later, but just like going from Dark Moon to the start of this saga, just how much stronger they've all become. And it's interesting because it's like, well, it kind of makes the villains seem weaker when in reality, I think the Witches 5 would fuck up quite a lot of Barrel's henchmen.
Yeah, they would.
At least with like Witches 5, it's kind of like a power leveling for them, but it just goes to show you just how much of a buff the the Sailor Guardians have got, and then of course there's the huge buff at the end, and then we see Neptune and Uranus. It pretty much outright implies that they're still stronger than the 5 inner Guardians as of like this panel right here.
Mm-hmm. And I don't even think it's because I'm trying to remember, and it's because the reason being, Uranus and Neptune never went into, just like Pluto, Uranus and Neptune have sort of been alive this whole time. They didn't go into crystals. But Saturn did.
It does say they were reborn. It talks about them when they're on like I actually really like the concept of outer guardians, how like they're on like the far reaches of space, dealing with problems before they could even get in. And so they weren't there when like it all went to shit.
Yeah.
But it does, we'll get towards that at the end, but it does say that
I know they were reborn, but was it the crystals? I can't remember. I didn't get to
when
finish.
When the Crystal Palace fell, then Saturn emerged and she put her scythe down, and then that was pretty much it. And then they were reborn.
Yeah, so, that's right.
Just pure curiosity just popped into my head then. Kind of can't help but wonder if back in like when they were dealing with Barrel, what if they bumped into Uranus and Neptune then? There'd be 7 of them.
Yeah, that would have been helpful. Except Uranus and Neptune, like, I don't know. It's interesting because they sort of like how when we talked about it, and I think this was our very first Sailor Moon manga stream, how Sailor Moon, Serena found the Sailor Scouts she needed in the order she needed them. Like, yep. And so it was like Uranus and Neptune found each other out of necessity, almost.
Yep.
And there's like a flashback, and they like find each other when they're kids. But also, guys, yes, I don't know how many of you could see that panel, but it did say Jupiter Coconut Cyclone. That's because direct translation.
Did I miss it? Yep.
Yeah, it says Jupiter Coconut and Venus Wink Chain Sword. Somebody did direct translation instead of, and someone directly translated it incorrectly. I can tell you that, but that should be Jupiter Thunder Oak, is what that move should be.
Venus Love Me Chain.
It should be the. Yeah, that should be Venus Love Chain is what that is. So it's not Wink Chain Sword, and it is not Coconut Cyclone. Somebody slapped the translators. This is why you don't do direct translations. That's why it's always funny when you hear people, they're like, what did they say? And you're like, oh, well, they said this. Well, that didn't sound like what they said. But if I tell you exactly what they said, it's not going to make sense, because very few languages you can directly translate. They don't work.
Yeah. Some words just don't line up. Okay, so here's the witches.
Yes, they did, Faye.
Here's the witches. What do you think of just the witches?
No shame.
No shame.
Okay. I think that Tuxedo, well, he would have been Prince Darien back then. So Barrel's henchmen, I feel like these are meant to be like a sexy mirror of them.
Ah, interesting. Yep.
And because there's 5 of them, they all have their own niche. That's the word I'm going to use. And
I would have said fetish, but okay.
it is. It's definitely, yeah. And they definitely lean into, I'll just say it. they straight up use their boobies as
Yes.
like you can't dress like that and tell me that you are not trying to use every weapon in your arsenal to run distraction and seduction.
I mean,
And
just look at that. Like, who are we falling?
like it's just that's
Drawn by a woman, mind you.
yes, drawn by a woman. In fact, most anime with well-endowed females is drawn by women,
Yeah.
written by women. They do not shame the female form. Yeah, it does, subhuman. Look. Right. Guys,
It is.
I'm being serious. Like like they really feel like because rather than the Negaverse, you know, you've got their I don't even really know what to call because I don't know. It's just it's almost like I said, it's like a mirror of
I never thought of it like that, but you're right.
of Barrel's henchmen, except they're female and they're in fishnets and their boobies are everywhere.
It's great. These are the types of witches I'm cool with. But one thing that I did like was I'm blanking on her name at the moment, but basically Queen Witch. She lives with Hotaru, and Hotaru's kind of going through like the "you're not even my real mom" type deal with her. Now I'm jumping quite a bit ahead here, but I really like her dad's backstory and how he became who he is. How like essentially he made a deal with the devil type scenario.
Yeah.
I know like the whole sympathetic villain is overdone in these day and age.
But back in
But
these
that one,
days,
I
yeah.
100% buy that. That was just a dad that was like, I do not care what happens to me. Just save my daughter. My wife's already dead. Please save my daughter. I'll make any deal you want.
Absolutely. And it's believable to the point like it's more than just and that's something this is an element that's missing from today. Because today they would just try to make it like relevant or shove some kind of messaging in there or subvert an expectation somehow. And that was really just like raw, straight up, this is how it is, this is what I need. I can't let her die when I can do something about it. Please.
Yeah, that's all it was. The only messaging was, I will make any deal that I have to make if you save my daughter. I don't care what happens to me. Like he has the opportunity right there in front of him, and he just says yes. It's pretty much just a father that's scared for his daughter and just lost his wife.
Yep.
So you can totally believe, like, yeah, he's going to make any deal that will pop up. And the way it all plays out, I think, works really, really well in that regard. I like I said, I quite like this arc. I bounce back and forth between S and Stars as my favorite seasons. I think this one might be one of the most what's the word I'm looking for? Straight to the point. There's next to no filler.
Yeah, this is yep.
Everything that happens is important. And that's really important when you're bringing in two new Guardians and the whole concept of Outer Guardians as well. Because we see them back and forth in this one, like Sailor Moon and like her inner Guardians, they see Neptune and Uranus. They don't know who they are at that stage. But they're like, why won't they join up with us? You know, what's going on here? It's almost like we're two different teams. And then, of course, we have like the big confrontation where it's like, yeah.
Because we are.
We are, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have very different ways of going about things as well. Like towards the end, Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune, they all say we have to kill Hotaru. They even say the word kill.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they ever said in the anime.
No,
we have to kill this kid.
I think they said that they in the anime
the awakening or some shit.
In the anime, I think it's Pluto who says they need to seal her in the void where she can't, like, there's nothing to kill. Is the approach that they took with that. she's like, there's these dimensions where there's literally nothing. So
Mm.
it was really interesting because this was another thing that sort of irritated me because Neptune and Uranus's powers are basically Mercury's powers. Like,
Yep.
and so Neptune and Uranus should not, by right, I mean, in their personal lives, like like Lethal said, they are like Bruce Wayne rich. And as far as powers go, they don't hold a title like Saturn or Pluto do. Pluto is literally the guardian of time, and Saturn is the Sailor Scout of death.
Yeah.
So by rights, Uranus and Neptune really should not have that much more power than the other inners. But for some reason they do, even though they're basically Mercury split into two. And the idea that I could totally believe that Pluto could seal Hotaru away and could like put her in another dimension or a void because it's freaking Pluto. Like, she is thousands of years old. She's the only one that didn't go through the rebirth, even though she did technically die in R. But anyway,
They addressed that in this, actually.
yeah. So, like, I could totally see her going the Sailor Scout of time and the Sailor Scout of death. I could see the two of them being able to go toe to toe. But like,
Oh yeah,
Uranus and Neptune, I'm just like, man, guy, come on, no, like, just step to the side
I
and
guess that's why they want to kill her when she's like, before she awakens, like
Yeah.
when she's the fenceless kid. Let's just break into her house and kill her.
Yeah.
It's the way to go about it, I guess. But yeah, with Pluto, obviously her and Rini had that bond. I think Pluto needs to slap the shit out of Rini for what she did. But yeah, they have that bond. You know, Rini comes rushing over to her. Pluto, it's me. I'm so happy to see you. And then Pluto explains, like, yeah, basically, Neo Queen Serenity resurrected her. Which, how bloody powerful was Neo Queen Serenity?
Yeah.
Seriously, look at what she can do. She can resurrect the Guardian of Time. Okay, awesome.
Oh, subhuman. This is where we're gonna run into issues because is death like?
I say Pluto.
Right. So, what came first, death or time?
Exactly.
And it's
a headbutt. You'll just be going back and forth.
Yeah, that will be a battle to the. I agree with Lethal. I think that Pluto, and it comes down to more than just their abilities. Because if you break it down just to stats and you're like death and time, go. And like technically Pluto is space and time, but time. So when you have death and you have time and the two and you're battling just those two, you could maybe get a bit more technical about it. But when you look at the Sailor Scouts, the Sailor Guardians that possess those titles, you have Sailor Pluto, the Guardian of Time, and you have Sailor Saturn, the Guardian of Death, or the Sailor Scout of Death. And when you look at what each is capable of doing, Hotaru she's not as wise or as experienced as Pluto, and Pluto can again seal, like she does. Pluto has the power to seal Hotaru away in some random void that Hotaru can't get out of. So death isn't going to do very much if they can't get out of the room. Like,
but then again, as this volume explains, like Saturn's capable of causing a galaxy-wide apocalypse.
Yeah, well, just don't make her mad.
Yeah, so it's like me. You just go back and forth. It's like I think it's purely subjective. Who you think's more powerful? I guess I would say they're even. But I think if you threw them into a ring and made them fight, I'd put my money on Pluto.
Yeah, I'd put my money on Pluto as well. But I love those kind of discussions, Subhuman. Thank you for that. Yeah, Neo Queen Serenity is so, quite frankly, Pluto and Saturn could go at it, but if Neo Queen Serenity stepped into the ring, it'd be dunsies.
Yeah,
Like,
that's that.
She would decimate them both. Like, how insane is it to think that you could kill Death? Like, Neo Queen Serenity can literally kill Death. And hence why she's immortal. Like, dang.
And I was just kind of thinking then, as you said that, with Neo Queen Serenity resurrecting Pluto, that's kind of a fuck you to Saturn, the guardian of death.
Pretty much.
Really? Like, come on, fam.
It's like, yeah, you don't get this one. And then Neo Queen Serenity is like, okay, Pluto, go back to the gate.
Yeah.
You know all those taboos that you broke. Don't do it again.
Based. Yeah. But I don't know. I quite like the way they introduce Hotaru in this, how she's very it shows some of her at school as well.
Yeah.
And how she's just treated awfully because of how different she is. And she's kind of like a young Clark Kent, how all the kids are like picking on her because she's super strong, and she like crushes I think she crushes a steel case in her hand, and they're all like, "You're a freak."
You are a freak.
You kids are stupid. Why would you pick on someone that can do that?
Yeah, kids are dumb. Like, they have these moments of like, you're just like, wow, are you sure you're a kid? And then like they eat glue and you're like, oh yeah, you're a kid.
Yeah. But yeah, my point with that though is like, it just shows you that she's very like, we talked about how alone Pluto is, and I would still argue Pluto's the most lonely, but Saturn's very much alone as well.
Yeah, and it's not because she chose, and the difference being Pluto chose her calling.
Yeah,
like
she made a big sacrifice.
Yeah, she could have said no, but Pluto agreed to it. Pluto chose this. Saturn didn't. And like the interesting thing is, when I was watching it, one of the things that stuck out to me, I wonder if the kids were mean to her, like she was strong and everything like that, but I wonder if they could sense death. You know what I mean? Like, you always get that sixth sense, like you have the hair on the back of your neck and the goosebumps and stuff like that. So it makes you wonder if they were mean to her because they could, like, they sensed death around her, like, even if they didn't realize it. And so they were just, I mean, most people think that when death is staring them in the face, they're going to like mock it and laugh at it and, go down swinging. But I think it would be really fair to say that, most of us would probably be scared senseless. Especially if Hotaru is just going to like open up a black hole and swallow the galaxy.
I love the way they draw Hotaru in this, like emphasis on making her hair extremely dark. Her eyes are always darker as well.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yep.
And I think this is the perfect image actually to explain her, because she's also got this real, like I talked about how in the anime, how I felt like her bond with Rini made more sense because Rini had that childlike innocence. So does Hotaru. Hotaru misses her mum. She doesn't get to see her dad much because of everything that's going on. She's got a kind of like stepmom that she's not really gelling well with. She doesn't have any friends. She can't go out. She's got a pretty bad medical condition as well. And and yet she still just tries to be a nice person. Like when Rini comes over to have like that little cute little play date and all that type of stuff.
Yep.
She's all just like, yeah, it's all good. I'm just happy to have a friend. But she can also cause a galaxy-wide apocalypse.
Yeah, it's, oh God. And like, there's adults that can't handle that kind of power. Like, could you imagine? Okay, I can't do real world scenarios because it's just too depressing. What's another anime that you and I both? Okay, so do you know Rurouni Kenshin?
Yep.
Okay, so I chose that one. Obviously, he would be able to, because but he's very disciplined and has experience. If you're like, hey, here's the power of galaxy ending annihilation apocalypse, you looking at him, you'd be like, okay, he's probably not going to do it over. He would probably be an okay person to give that kind of power to, because he is very disciplined and not one to like give into tantrums like Hotaru can be.
Yes, yeah, that is a good example of it. And Hotaru kind of goes into a fit whenever, like, I keep forgetting her name, man. The stepmom type character is around, and that's very childlike as well. Like, I remember, because like I grew up like a single dad, and he'd have girlfriends and stuff, and I could be a little bit rude to him when I was growing up as well.
Oh, so much of you just got explained, and you don't even know. It all makes sense. That's why you're such a Chad. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, like I can't imagine, because she's got the medical condition. She already feels like a prisoner in her body, and she's got like all these freakish abilities that she doesn't really understand. And now she's got a stepmother who makes her life more difficult. If that makes doesn't do anything to help lessen the burden. That's how I will phrase that.
Yeah, and very obviously we know why, because she's one of the witches.
Yes.
But very much interrogates Rini and Usagi when they come over, and she's like, "This is the first time I've ever had a friend come over. Can we be nice to them? Come on."
Please don't chase them away.
Yeah, exactly.
See, like right there where she's like, she's just laying there and she can't move.
Yeah.
Like she's just a prisoner. And then of course you find out why, and you really just want to strangle the stepmother for her. So
this is an actual interesting one here. We've talked about this before. Venus is really propped up in the manga as opposed to the anime. She really much is like got a leadership type role. And yet, I think she's actually one of the more boy crazy ones as well.
Yes, she is.
It probably goes Sailor Moon, Venus, Jupiter,
Mars, and then Mercury.
Mercury, yeah.
And it took a lot for Mercury to go boy crazy once.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's. Oh.
Did you feel like Luna and Artemis kind of had a back seat in this volume?
Yes, I did. And quite frankly, because I think, oh Lord, I'm not going to say that they're not needed at this point, because obviously they are.
It just kind of feels like it's gone a bit beyond them.
Yeah, this
kind of like
now...
how like Dragon Ball Z makes a lot of characters in Dragon Ball redundant.
Yeah. It's, and I mean it's true. Like you can't just like get rid of Luna and Artemis, because oh my god, there would be riots.
Yeah.
Because they are such loved characters, but there comes a point where your mentors can no longer take you any further. At least not in the same way that they have been. When it comes to Sailor Scout training, Luna and Artemis have kind of tapped out. And then in the next volume, I think it is, like, they're like, oh, well, there's legends of this and there's legends of that. Like, now they're getting to, like, legendarium, not actually stuff that they know. But they're still giving some pieces of advice, and they're still helping and guiding and stuff like that. But at this point, they have more become almost like life coaches would be a better, like, or like they really are just companions at this point. Because there's not much further that they can take them anymore.
Here, clearly, right here.
Cousins do that, Lethal. Okay.
Cousins. But right here was something I was going to touch on. I like how And they kind of did this in the last arc as well. They have Mars and Darien are kind of the first ones to kind of be aware that something's wrong.
Yep.
Obviously, Mars has her visions, and I love how that's a recurring theme. That's kind of like her thing, how she's like spiritual. And then Darien, you know, being the Prince of Earth, he's kind of has like dreams of like premonitions type stuff. I think that's great because I also feel like Tuxedo Mask also kind of takes a little bit of a backseat in this volume as well.
Oh, he gets shafted in the anime period. Like,
oh, in the anime in this season, like I said, this is one of the best seasons. But in the anime, he doesn't. I know it's a meme. He doesn't do anything in the anime, but in this season of the anime, he does nothing.
He does zero, and it's just so like we've said this before. The Sailor Moon movies are the original 1999 one, not the remake one that they did in like 2013. Sailor Moon R is my favorite movie because like Rini is nowhere to be found and Darien actually does shit. Like,
well, Darien's kind of a pretty key plot point in that movie as well.
He is.
He has this whole, and
past. Like that's what you wanted. That's like you want more. You want more Prince Darien. You want more King Darien. You want more Tuxedo Mask,
and you want less Rini.
Way less Rini. The cut scenes always made me giggle when they would like. It's just Rini staring out a window, looking up at the sky, and I'm like, you can't see anything, Rini. What do you? No. Like
cousins.
Yep, those are cousins. That is a cousin thing to do.
That's totally how cousins look at each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it does become pretty weird with that. So we kind of got off on a bit of a tangent, but I wanted to ask you before, what did you think of the whole concept of how like the outers don't want to work with the inners? Hello? Hello? Chat, can you hear me? Oh. Bloody StreamYards. Yep, much better.
Sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I was like lethal. And like nothing. So I literally just unplugged and replugged my mic back in. So,
did you hear the question?
No. Sorry. I was stressed.
Yeah, I said we went off on a bit of a tangent. But what did you think of the concept of how like the outers don't want to work with the inners?
I think it I really think that was more Uranus than anything. Uranus is like, for as much as Uranus flirts, she's like super duper
Yes, she is.
clingy or like possessive. There's the word I'm looking for.
Possessive. Yes.
When it comes to Uranus,
being clingy and possessive.
Yeah, she's super possessive. So, and she doesn't like to share. It's the same thing. Like I got the same sense when after all this talk about how we have to kill Hotaru and, you know, like we'll do whatever's necessary and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And then she like turns it into her adopted daughter, and then she doesn't want the inners anywhere near Saturn. Not even Rini, who is the whole reason that Saturn didn't.
Yeah, I know. Like it's like you were the one that wanted to kill her, and the one you're not letting near her is the one that wanted to save her.
Yep. And it's just, it's got Uranus like all over it. Neptune might think it's kind of her idea, but like that has Uranus written all over it because she is super possessive.
I love how like Usagi, you know, she's useless in real life. Oops. But how she's like very much like 100% pure heart.
Yep.
She's like, hey, we're all on the same side. Let's all work together. We can work this out. I think Usagi, without Sailor Moon, is still a pretty interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
The way like will sleep through everything, just wants to eat and look at boys. Total ditz, you know, trips over her own shadow. But yet she's always the kindest one as well, and she's always the one that wants the best for everyone.
Yeah, well, it even in the theme song it says fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight. That's talking about Usagi. That's not talking about Sailor Moon. Like, it's very difficult because yes, they're the same person, but it's two different lives.
Very different, yeah.
And so like the idea that Sailor Moon would be, I mean, if it wasn't for Serena, Sailor Moon would not have the power buffs that she does.
Yeah.
Because those are the choices Sailor Moon made based off of how she was as a person, as Serena, before she found out she was the Princess of the Moon or a Sailor Scout or any of that. The whole reason Luna even realized she was a Sailor Scout was because she helped Luna.
Yeah.
That was before she ever had her sailor powers, before she ever could transform.
Love this image of
down to Usagi being pure of heart, like you said.
Love this image of Mercury. Oh, sorry, of Mars. We've said this a few times, but there's quite a few times we've been like, hey, it looks like Mars is getting just a little bit more time on her panels.
A little bit more love. I mean, look at that. I mean, she basically takes up a quarter of that panel.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Everyone's got to have their own favorites, even the creators, I guess. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit before, how like the whole base of operations for the Deathbusters is in the academy. And it just so happens they happen to have a genius on their team. I love that type of stuff. Like, they still managed to find uses for every character in this. So, okay, Mercury, really, what's her whole thing? She's the genius. She's really smart. Okay, well, let's put the enemy base inside a school. So that way, when she goes in to do her tests and all that, she kind of snoops around as well. And Mercury has a part where she's straight up an action hero in this one. She jumps out of a window to escape.
Yep.
Like she's Arnold Schwarzenegger or something, just like yeets herself out of there. Like, I'm out, man. There's only one way out. I'm doing it. It's fucking awesome, man. Like, even like I said with like Mars, how they use Mars to still have the visions and the fire and all that type of stuff. They still find uses for everyone, which is great.
And then, so this isn't this where is this where she finds out that he's not a he? No.
Yeah, I believe it is actually.
Yeah, like doesn't she get, because Jupiter gets distracted. I don't change how I fight opponent is a girl or a boy. And I think like maybe not then. I swear it was when the two of them were fighting and Jupiter like accidentally like fondles her boob. And is like, that's not a guy. But maybe that's not this panel. I could be mistaken.
Oh, I thought it was.
I could have swore it was too.
Yeah. Oh well. And like I said, I do still think the witches go down relatively easy, all things considered. I guess that's a bit nitpicky, but you remember like in the barrel when they were like fighting like the Negaverse monsters, the fights would take a page or two. And this one they seem to take just like half a page.
Yeah.
Just be like, they kind of just one shot them. They just go like, boop, you're gone.
Yep. And again, that could be because of the Sailor Scouts power-ups, but it does really make the villain. I mean, the villains in Super S go down insanely easy though too. Like until the very end, it's basically like a finger snap and it's done.
Yeah.
So, this like these. I don't know. I have my issues with Uranus because a lot of her decisions have directly led to the other Sailor Scouts getting into big trouble, like life-threatening trouble, and Uranus is totally fine with it.
Look, like you said, she's very possessive.
Yep.
And to jump further ahead, in the anime, at the end, she says, "We got to fight Usagi."
Yep.
Which is pretty bizarre.
Yeah. Uranus just freaking has a bone to pick with everybody for no reason. Literally no reason.
Go on, sorry.
No, I was gonna say I really do feel that just comes from like her possessiveness with like she just anybody in the vicinity she wants gone. It's like she wants 100 acres every direction from where she's at with not another living soul to just have whoever and whatever she wants. And that's basically just Uranus at this point, or Neptune at this point.
So this part's pretty interesting, right? So clearly she's transformed at Sailor Moon, and she knows that Sailor Moon, becomes Neo Queen Serenity. And she even acknowledges that in a few chapters ahead. She acknowledges that, yeah, you're our future queen. And here she is just being like, oh, I'm just going to quickly give you a, tongue wrestle you real quick. What up?
Yep.
Well, is this just to say that she? Is this just to say that she made out with the princess?
So many.
I think you just cut out again. See, StreamYards. It's been a bit busted lately. All right. Let me catch up with the chat. Hey, Zachariah, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. If Uranus had her way, Serena would be dead. Maybe at the end, but I wouldn't say so at this stage. StreamYard's bad. I've had a lot of issues with StreamYards lately.
StreamYards is bad today.
Yes, sorry.
You want to go for maybe because like I literally just lost. I couldn't hear anything, and I was talking again. I don't know if you could hear me.
No.
So you want to go for maybe another 10 minutes, and then
yeah, we pretty much covered a lot of it anyway.
Uranus is a sociopath. Like if you haven't gathered that yet, she's a sociopath and is really willing to kill everybody. Like, thank God she's not the Sailor Scout of Death because this would have been a very short season.
Yeah, someone say apocalypse. Let's go.
Yep.
All right, then. Well, all in all, I really like this volume. I really like this whole arc as well.
I do too.
I think just this. Okay, this ends. I'll just jump right to the end. It ends with her getting her super transformation. Oh, we got to talk about that real quick. What do you think of the super transformation?
It is my second favorite.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It is my second favorite because it's so it's much more ethereal than her previous forms.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before she really did look sort of like her junior high sailor suit outfit with just some bling on it. She now looks otherworldly.
I like it, but I think it kind of highlights a little bit of a flaw with, especially Uranus, but with the Outer Guardians. Well, mostly not Pluto. I don't think Pluto really applies. But again, at the end of the season of the anime, when they say, hey, we got to fight, you know that she can transform into Super Sailor Moon. So you know you don't have a chance. So I did think that was a little bit weird. But I'm all for Super Sailor Moon. I like the transformation in on itself. But yeah, so essentially this volume ends with Rini fucks up yet again. She blabbers too much about the silver crystal.
Yep.
Hotaru, who's starting to lose herself, grabs the silver crystal and then kind of starts to awaken as Sailor Saturn, but she's going to cause like the end of everything.
Yeah.
And I think everyone can agree that Sailor Saturn has a fucking 1, unique, and 2, badass look.
Yes. I love how she and Sailor Pluto are the ones with staffs because you have Serena has her scepters.
Yep.
But like Pluto and Saturn, you could identify them straight off because of her scythe and her staff. And like there would be no question who you're dealing with. Whereas Sailor Moon, even though she does get a staff later on and she does have like a scepter and stuff, it's it's just something about the way that Saturn is. Like again, unless it's around Rini, Hotaru is very like a void herself. Like she's kind of like an empty vessel. She's just sort of going through the motions. Rini is really the only one that like connects her to her humanity.
Finally, a use for Rini.
Yeah. And she's
Now,
still
I'm
annoying.
just saying, in Crystal Tokyo, if I was in charge of marketing, I'd put a picture of Rini's face on billboards advertising condoms, going, avoid this.
900 years old and still an idiot.
Yep.
Or still a spoiled brat. Like, how stupid and spoiled and selfish do you have to be to just
I love this. She's gone full exorcist.
Yeah, it's creepy. I don't like
expecting her head to turn around.
Yep, man, Saturn is another level of terrifying.
And this volume ends on a great note. She's not breathing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Fuck you, Rini.
Okay.
So yeah, all in all, how did you feel about this volume?
I'd have to give it a solid, probably, I'd say like a 6.5 out of 10.
Really?
10 out of 10 with the chibi is not breathing at the end though. Like that panel alone. No, but maybe a little higher, maybe a 7.5 out of 10. The artwork is fantastic. Uranus just really rubs me the wrong way. She always has. Because I'm like, it's like she wants to be Jupiter, but she isn't a good enough person to pull it off. And so she just comes off as a raging rich bitch.
Wow. Never thought I'd hear you say that. So 7.5, did you say? Sorry?
Yeah.
7.5. I reckon I'd give it an 8. I think it's a very solid start for this arc.
Yeah.
I really like the introduction of Uranus and Neptune. And I really like how they start to go in with the concept of outer guardians.
Yep.
I like the power up, the Super Sailor Moon. And I like the villains as well. One of my big problems with Black Moon was I thought the villains were kind of shit.
They were forgettable.
Very forgettable. Did you know what the most memorable thing was about the Black Moon villains was how rapey he was?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Without that, outside of that, like they were generic. They were you could have traded them out and you would not have known the difference.
Yeah. Whereas like this, I like the witches. I like Pharaoh. I think Pharaoh's backstory, like we said before, of how he just made a deal to save his daughter.
Yep.
I like all that, which is not in this volume. And bringing in Sailor Saturn with Hotaru as well. And bringing in Hotaru actually gave Rini some use.
Yes.
So that's impressive in itself.
In a positive way that doesn't destroy everything in all timelines everywhere.
I guess my negatives would be I do feel like some characters were kind of pushed to the side a little bit too much.
Have you noticed? Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say mainly Tuxedo Mask doesn't do a whole lot, but he does have one wicked part in this, and that's when the Elders start explaining their backstory and who they are. And Tuxedo Mask, he interrupts them and he basically gives them like, nah, that's not enough information. You got to give us more if you expect us to go along with your plan. Yep. You got to give us more. And that's kind of what leads them to say, we got to kill Hotaru.
Yep.
Yeah. So
where that is definitely one of his more Chad moments. But because this is supposed to, I think that's why season 1 or series 1 is still my favorite, because it really did circle around Serena and Darian's love, like their romance, and it's because of the structure of this anime. Normally that's not something I focus on, but because of the structure of Sailor Moon and the way that this anime unfolds And the fact that she is love is a huge focus for her as a character in and of itself, and her love for Darien and his love for her has saved them both and the galaxy more times than I can count. I don't like this idea that when Uranus kissed her, I don't think she ever tells Darien that happened. And
No.
it's not that and it's not even that Serena not wanting it was an issue. It was the fact that you started to insert doubt into the romance that has been the bedrock for this for this manga series so far.
Well, she even does that herself. She says to it's like an inner dialogue. She goes, "Was that technically cheating? Did I just cheat?"
Yeah, and so I think not telling Darien about that's that becomes a problem, because that's when you start to go down a very bad road in relationships.
Yeah, but just to play devil's advocate, do you think that also kind of goes along with your Uranus as a sociopath? It kind of helps emphasize that point.
I think yes. I don't I don't know. Uranus is just...
Is it a safe bet to say she's your least favorite of the outers?
Yeah, she's definitely the least favorite of my outers. My least favorite of the outers. There we go. It's because I'm not a huge fan of Neptune either, because if we're going to be perfectly frank, with the exception of very few times when Neptune shows that she is not completely flaccid, and is actually capable of independent thought and isn't just this sweet, soft-voiced individual. And those moments are rare. And yes, I know it's supposed to be for shock and awe, but Neptune comes off as a flaccid character. She's just kind of there.
Yeah, I think she's just you're not Mercury.
Yeah, exactly. She's not Mercury. And she's not near as likable as Mercury either. She's more likable than Uranus, but nowhere near as likable as Mercury. And when you've got Pluto's doing what she has to do to guard time, and then you've got Saturn, who is just dealt a crap hand. Uranus and Neptune have no reason to be the way that they are, other than they choose to be that way. Literally. They have been with each other for a long, long time. So there's no reason for them to behave the way that they do. And it's really sickening to me that Uranus is going to shove wedges of doubt like that into Serena's mind and heart, when if anybody made a pass at Neptune, she'd probably snap their neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
So it's just really what Uranus has built for herself here is a narcissistic, possessive sociopath with homicidal tendencies, who needs to be locked up and thrown away into a box, far away from everybody else, because...
Well, that's kind of what they did. They were like, all right, you're an outer guardian. You're going all the way out there, you psycho.
Yep, pretty much. Because, Uranus would have literally... Because at one point, she does try to use Saturn. She's like, well, we can fix this. Let's just kill everybody. Okay, Uranus, you're not allowed to talk anymore. Just go over there. It would defeat the whole purpose of... That was the other thing that really ticked me off about her character, because it's not that she was just... It's not like she was just willing to kill Hotaru or to kill Uranus or even... she's like, whoever it is, we'll deal with it. There is a point where she says she will literally she will wipe out every life on Earth if it stops the Pharaoh and if it stops them.
Yeah, it stops. Yeah.
And it's you have nullified the entire point of defeating them if you're going to wipe out all of civilization anyway, because that is also their goal. So
I think what it was, I'm coming across as a Uranus defender here.
no, you're fine.
I think what it was is she's fully aware of how dangerous that threat is, and she's just kind of made this decision that losing one planet filled with people is okay if it saves the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
But then you have someone like, again, like talking about Usagi and her heart and all that, the way like Sailor Moon butts in, and she's like, nah, no fucking way, not interested, no dice.
Yep.
We're not even going to kill Hotaru. We're
Yeah,
not going to kill anyone.
Thank God for Usagi. And even honestly, like Rini comes in clutch too, because Lord in heaven. Fucking just lock Uranus up and throw away the key, Pluto. Like, go put her in a playpen somewhere and don't let her touch anybody else's toys, because she will break them all out of spite.
Yeah, she is that. She's that kid that kicks over the other kid's sandcastle.
Yep, that is her.
What'd you do that for? You're just a fucking asshole.
Pretty much. But okay, before StreamYards craps out on us again, because I'm watching my bars very carefully and they're starting to do that wavering thing. Mm-hmm. So you give this an 8. I gave it a 7.5. What would be who's your least favorite outer?
Probably Neptune, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understandable choice.
You're just not Mercury. As much as like, you have a lot to say about Uranus, at least you have something to say about Uranus. Whereas like, what's there to say about Neptune?
Exactly. She's just kind of there.
Yeah, you're good at music. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Which Venus was already good at.
Yes.
Venus is a singer and a very good one. So, all right. Well, have dropped dangerously low. Yeah. So, I think we're just gonna kind of do a cold ending cut here and tell you guys good night and thank you so much for coming. Lethal, where can they find you now that you've been yeeted from Twitter and your main has been yeeted from YouTube?
Yeah, you won't see me on Twitter, at least for the foreseeable future. I'm enjoying the Twitter break. But I am on Instagram and Discord if you want to contact me there. But I've started uploading again over on, which was my backup channel, is now my main channel. It's called Prince Lethal. I'm doing live streams and videos over there. I have a gaming YouTube channel as well called Hyper Lethal that I'm going to be doing quite a bit more with this year. And I'm over on Twitch quite a lot as well. But I absolutely love doing these streams. These are actually my favorite streams to do. Big thank you to everybody who came out into the chat and just bagged out Rini with us. That's always good fun.
Yep.
And if you haven't already, I want to see Lady Greymaster. What are you missing from being monetized?
About 300 watch hours.
Oh, share the streams. Put the streams on replay. Go to bed. Tell your wife. Tell your girlfriend. Whatever it is. Tell them to put the streams on replay.
Aww.
Get so Lady Greymaster monetized so I can become a channel member, because that's my goal for the year. I want to be a Lady Greymaster channel member.
Aww. You're so sweet. I appreciate you, Prince Lethal, so much. Thank you. And I guess this isn't really a spoiler, but because Prince Lethal is over on Twitch quite a bit, and I like to go over there and watch.
Talk shit about Mozza.
And yeah, I absolutely rip into Mozza. But hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to play Destiny 2 with them and give them a much needed Titan. And for future streams, we will let you know, Rayron. Okay?
I think we should. I also think maybe we should do these mid-month instead of end-month as well around this time.
Okay. Sounds good. There you go, Rayron. There's your answer. They'll be here from now on, and we'll do them in the middle of the month. So
that way we can give Lady Greymaster more watch hours.
There you go. I appreciate it. Look at that. Looking out for me like a real prince. All right, everybody. You guys have a great night, because I just dropped to 1 bar. So that means StreamYards is about to do something funky. So much love. Thank you so much for coming. This was a blast. Have a great night and enjoy your weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.